Welcome to The Passion Pod with your host, Chris Johnson. Thanks for joining us. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the feature presentation.
Season 7, Episode 9.
Welcome back, friends. Today we're in sunny Los Angeles with a social media superstar. She started dancing at the age of 3, using social media as kind of how she built a whole business around herself as a creator. Welcome to the show, dancer, singer, influencer, actor, entrepreneur, Mikaila Murphy.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, this is a sweet place that you have, and it was like not that far away from my hotel.
Oh
so
my gosh,
I'm stoked to be able
thank
to
you.
walk over here.
I just moved here literally a month ago.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And you just showed me how they have like the epic little like mailbox thing. People where I live, we don't have that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, guys. So I get a text anytime I get a package, and then it sends me a barcode, and then I just scan it, and then it has all these little lockers, and you get to like kind of hunt, and then it'll just like open a random door and your package is in there. So it's fun trying to figure out like which door is going to have your package.
It's like a little vending machine for Amazon. It's kind of crazy. So
I love it. It's so fun.
So who are you and what are you passionate about?
So my name is Mikaila Murphy, also known as Mikaila Dancer on pretty much every social media platform, and I'm known for dancing.
Yeah. You've been in a lot of music videos. I mean, you're all over TikTok, you're all over everything. And I was just like admitting to you, I haven't even looked at your TikTok, which is kind of embarrassing, but I don't have a TikTok, so I don't have an easy way to look at it. So how can people best follow you and get in contact if they wanted to reach out?
So everyone can find me on pretty much any social media platform, such as TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, just Mikaila Dancer. And if you guys want to reach out to me, honestly, the best way is to just go in my bio and email me. It'll get sent to like my management, and if it's a good inquiry, they'll typically respond and put me in the loop.
Yeah, that's the hardest part, right? Because you can just DM people, but like there's way too many things and people don't get that when they're like, oh, you never responded. It's like, well, you go into requests, and especially when you're trying to like spread yourself among all these platforms, that's kind of a lot of request boxes to like look through and then sift.
I have thousands of messages, like literally every day I get hundreds of new ones. And I always try my best to respond, especially to like my supporters, because they mean the world to me and they've given me this platform. But it's so hard because like it's so many people.
Well, it's going to limit like what you can actually create if you're spending hours a day like responding to messages that say, hey. You know what I mean? Like, it's just
and
like
honestly,
not possible.
It gets pretty draining too, because on top of like having all the supporters in the world that I'm so grateful for, there's also so much hate. So I have to like go through all the mean DMs to find the nice DMs. So sometimes I just don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, I wish it was like an even thing, but like one mean DM bothers me significantly more than like 5 positive ones.
Yes, because they like will go in, and hate doesn't really bother me, but I also don't want to spend my day reading it either.
Yeah, the people can get pretty freaking ruthless.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just gross. Like I don't need to read that stuff.
Yeah, totally. Thankfully, I don't really have like too many inappropriate DMs. I mean, I have people once in a while, but very, very rarely do I have that, which I think comes with the territory of just being like a dad. Like,
Definitely.
I'm not the type of person people
feel
just
like,
hit on through the internet much.
Honestly, any woman you know, influencer or not, they probably have at least like one disgusting DM a week.
Oh, I believe
so
it.
So bad.
So the only way I was able to reach out to you really, because I didn't email you, I just like DM'd you, but that was because Marcus Shields connected us. So Marcus Shields was a guest on my last season. He's a dancer, choreographer, singer. He has new music coming out, which I just told you and you didn't know, meaning you have to check it out. But what's your relationship with him like?
So when I was young, I was obviously like taking a lot of dance classes and everything, and I was horrible at hip hop. Not groovy at all, because I grew up more technically trained. And this girl that I used to dance with, she was like, oh my gosh, we should go take this hip hop class. So I went, and it ended up being Marcus, and I just fell in love with his style. He's such a dope dancer, and then I followed him ever since.
And that was out in Michigan, right? Because that's where you're from?
And I actually took a class from him in LA maybe like 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, but while you were still living in Michigan, right?
Yeah, I came out here for like a dance competition, and he just so ended up to be like teaching that week. So I was like, oh my gosh, I have to take his class because I love this guy.
So when you were 3, like that age growing up, what were you doing? Ballet? Like what was the dance?
Yeah, I did like ballet, tap, jazz, all that stuff.
Can you still tap dance?
Yeah, tap is actually my favorite style. I started like that was the first style I ever took, and nobody knows that about me because nobody really taps anymore.
I'd never see anyone do that. Do you still have videos on like your socials doing that?
Not really, because like literally no one taps. So I just like
If you have some, you should send them to me so I can at least like put them on the story. Cause like I want to be able to show that with people.
I'll try to find some. I feel like they're older, but honestly, like even just shopping around the grocery store, like I'm always just tapping around. Like
Sure.
That's my thing.
So when somebody, like you're at a party, right? And somebody asks you the stupid question, which is a fair one. What do you do? what you do a lot of things. So I'm curious as to what your answer is to the what do you do?
I just say I'm a professional dancer / social media influencer.
Oh, gotcha. Cool. So with social media influencing, I listened to a different interview with you and I'm like curious as to how you figure this out. So supply and demand is typically like, that's kind of how business works for how value comes in. I know you were talking on a different episode about how like people don't know what their worth is and people have to understand their worth. How do you figure out what your worth is? Because there isn't exactly like an outline there to really follow.
Honestly, it's tricky. That's when having a team really comes in handy. I work with some like management. I work with a management team and it came with like an assistant, PR sources, and just like marketing. So I let them take care of all that stuff for me because I know my worth, but I'm also really bad at like negotiating and talking to people business wise because I'm so nice. So you kind of have to have a team to be that bad guy.
Yeah.
So we all kind of figure it out together.
Yeah, but you have to get to a certain point to be able to afford those people. Like that's the tough part, right?
Yeah.
Because you have influencers who say they got 50 to 100K or something. And they know that they can't just post stuff for free all the time, but people always ask it. My problem is with like the show is it's to a point now where I have a lot of people reach out and it's not like I want to say no to people all the time, but I just realistically can't do it all the time. But I hate having somebody feel like I'm being greedy. Like I don't want to come across that way.
Yes, that's my problem. And like I just don't want people thinking that like I'm flaky or mean or like big in the head. Like as soon as I moved to LA, everyone was like, don't go Hollywood on us. And I'm like, I'm not going Hollywood on anybody. I think if anything, I've gotten more humble, but I just need to kind of like take care of my mental well-being too. Like I can't answer everybody. I can't do everything for free. The worst part is like people I went to high school with that I'm not even friends with and never was friends with. They're like, oh, can you do this free promo for me? I rap. And I'm like, I can't just do stuff for free. You're not even like in my circle of friends. And then they're like, oh, you went Hollywood. And I'm like, no, we're just not tight like that. We never were. So I can't just do stuff for free. So when it comes down to like knowing your worth, you just got to start learning to say no, which is still hard for me. Like I really suck at saying no.
Yeah, like I said, I don't want to come across as greedy, but really what I tell friends of mine who are like photographers, you're worth what somebody's willing to pay you, right? So once somebody pays you X amount per hour or whatever for a certain kind of service, anyone else who reaches out for that, really what you should do then say, okay, well, this is the rate that I was paid to do this for my last client.
Yep.
And then it's like, look, I'm not being greedy. This just is what people pay me for.
It's just what people pay me because that's what I'm worth.
Yeah. And then they might pull the angle of like, yeah, but we go way back or what, but still.
And that's the thing too, you have to be careful for like with brands in particular, like brands will reach out and they have so much money. Like they're like a really well-known brand and then they try to take advantage of you because so many influencers are young and they don't understand that they should be getting paid. So then it kind of ruins it for other influencers because the brands will be like, oh, well, so-and-so did it for free, so you should do it for free. And it's like, no, this is my job. I have to get paid.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's an evolving world, and there's no, like the statistics aren't very straightforward because you can say you have X number of followers, but how many of those are actual followers that matter in the right demographics that matter, who are actually interacting? Like there's just way too much out there to be able to make like a very direct comparison. It's not like an NBA player where you can look at somebody's stat line next to somebody's stat line. Like it doesn't really work quite that way.
And that's where like having a lot of followers doesn't even matter. It's more based off of like your page engagement.
Yeah. No,
so
absolutely.
That's what they're paying for is honestly like if I make a video and it's in a bathing suit and I get a lot of engagement on it, then bathing suit companies should be able to afford to pay me what I'm worth because I know I'm going to bring in so much to their
Well, and it's obvious at this point that like social media is the best form of advertisement. Like there really isn't any other one that compares to it.
Yes. I'm actually happy you brought that up because people will pay like hundreds of thousands of dollars for TV ads, but who even watches TV anymore?
Yeah, people don't
it's
watch
all
them.
on your phone.
Yeah, they don't watch them and they're not directed.
Exactly. So instead of paying for like TV ads, they're paying influencers now to promote on these social media platforms because that's where everybody is.
Right.
So
that's why people in the social media world then need to understand like, hey, this is worth however much money.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, totally understand. So
also, don't get me wrong, I also help so many people out. Like I'll do free promos for companies that I genuinely love working with or small brands, like small like business owners and stuff. I'm always willing to help them out. And then like I said, my real genuine friends, I'm always willing to help them out. But it's when people come in that have money or people that just want to take advantage, that's when you need to learn to like put your foot down and say no.
Yeah, well, you just can't like give handouts to everybody.
Yeah,
it just doesn't work that way. It's one thing to help somebody out that you genuinely want to help out.
Yeah, and if someone's like a really hard worker and you see like the grind and the passion in them, I'm always the first to help. But then it's people that are like, can you like do a promo for me, but I'm probably not going to post on my page for the next month. I'm like, probably not. Like, you need to prove to me that you're going to take it serious and work really hard.
Well, if you're going to do something for somebody, then they should have the understanding of like, okay, I would like to help you in any way that I can. Realistically, maybe they're not in a position to help that much because they don't have a lot of engagement or reach or whatever, but they should still at least do their best because that's realistically what you're doing, right? You open the door for them, they should open the door for you.
I'm big on like relationships and like everybody in my circle eating. Like, you help me, I'll help you.
That's it. This is one thing in America I wish we can try to get away from, is this competitive atmosphere. Because if we just recognize that if my neighbor does better, my property value goes up.
Literally,
like,
there's
everybody
room
wins
for
together.
everybody. There's room for everybody. Like, let's say I am a hip hop dancer and I book this crazy job. My friend that's a hip hop dancer can book that same crazy job with a whole nother artist. Like, people don't understand that you don't need to compete with each other. You can grow each other and like all have the same status.
Yeah. Well,
like,
and that friend of yours who's now working with that other artist might
that
end
opens
up
the door for me.
That's what I'm saying. It really all helps each other.
Exactly.
So, when you're growing up, going back to that a little bit, who were your inspirations and who did you look up to? Because clearly you didn't do hip hop dance right away. I want to know the trajectory of like, at what point you figured out you wanted to do dancing, what kind of triggered that, and like, what got you going in the path that you're going?
So my hero is my grandpa, actually.
And he danced?
No.
I'm just kidding.
He can't dance to save his life. He does his little grandpa wobble, but that's about it. But growing up, he used to babysit me because both of my parents worked. So we would just watch Shirley Temple together. And long story short, like, I would tap around the living room with him. And that's why tap's my favorite. I used to tap to Shirley Temple with my grandpa. And he told my mom, he's like, you need to get her into a dance class. So my mom got me into my first tap class when I was 3 years old. And since then, my grandpa has been my number one supporter.
That's
so
awesome.
I've just always loved him because he got me into this. And then even social media, like, some of my most viral videos are me dancing with my grandpa, and he's known as like the TikTok grandpa. And then on top of him, like, starting my career, he's also the kindest man I've ever met in my life. And he's inspired me to like want to be a great person. Like, he's the most giving person. He cares about people more than even his own self. So he's taught me to like work hard, but also like love everyone and give back as much as I can. Like, anytime I get a blessing, he's like, now what are you going to do to give back?
Yeah. Well,
So I
think
love that.
That's what makes people relatable too. You know, it's like when all of a sudden you have videos where like somebody's grandpa's in it or whatever, it gets rid of that whole like cool guy atmosphere.
Yeah, they're like,
You know what I mean?
she like actually is a real person. She has
Yeah.
family and stuff.
Well, yeah, and I think that's like one of the reasons. Like, that's one of the reasons I always like watching anything with Justin Timberlake is because of all the parts of him like making fun of himself on,
Yes.
you know what I mean, on Saturday Night Live. It's like that type of thing where it makes somebody feel a lot more real. That's when people want to connect.
And touching on that real quick, social media, I feel like, has this like fake front. Like, everybody tries so hard to be perfect. And I feel like that's why I've gotten so popular on TikTok, is because I don't care. Like, I don't strive for perfection. I stay like my authentic self. My page is all about like body positivity, confidence, and loving yourself. And you can't love yourself if you have like a fake front for social media. Like, I love who I am and I show that to everybody, and it makes them feel comfortable and like safe on my account.
Yeah, well, people don't want to tell, like, very rarely can you be that person where everyone just thinks that person's cool as hell, but like out of their league and not like relatable. If somebody's not relatable, it's really hard to want to be their cheerleader.
Yeah.
Right? Because
very true.
you don't have any kind of like connection to them in any kind of way. If all of a sudden they see something in you that they see in themselves, something relatable like that, then they're like, oh, this girl's super cool. Like, yeah, I want to
like
support her.
her.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to know, what was the trajectory leading up to when TikTok came about? Were you like, was social media your goal for a career before TikTok came out? Like, was that always kind of the path?
So I've always loved being on social media. I've always made videos of myself. And like, I was always that girl with the long Snapchat story, and everybody always had to like click through it a million times because I just like always posted everything. But I never had like a massive following, and I had no idea how to get to that point. But it was always my dream. So I was just, you know, like growing up, dancing, recording everything. And then I just had like one video go super viral of me dancing in public. And it had like 600,000 likes on it. And then I got like my first like 10 to 20,000 followers. I'm like, whoa, this is like insane. 20,000 people following me. That felt so unreal.
Was that TikTok?
Yeah, that was on TikTok.
Okay.
TikTok is the first platform that got me a following.
Gotcha.
I think Instagram at the time I was at like 3,000, but I'd been on Instagram since I was 12 years old. So it's just like people gradually like from school and dance following me, but it wasn't like influencer type following. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, so I'm learning that consistency is key. I need to post every day. To this point, I haven't had a day off in about 2 years. Even Christmas Day, I'm filming and posting, but it doesn't feel like work because I love what I do. So it's not ever to the point where I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to like take a whole week off, because like I love what I do. If I take a vacation, I'm going to film on the vacation. Like I want to like show everybody the ocean and stuff. So I get to do what I love every day. And then I just started like posting super consistently. And then within a year, I hit 1 million followers on TikTok. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And then now fast forward to here, it hasn't even been like 2 whole years yet. And I'm already at 11 million. I grew pretty much 10 million within a year.
That's insane and ridiculous, but that's how the momentum works. I was talking to my brother-in-law, Tom Gray, who works in entertainment, back in season 2. And he made the like pretty cool statement of saying, people like to like things other people like.
Yes. Once you get that like small platform, people are like, oh, this person already has a following, so I'm going to follow too. And then especially like verification plays a big role in that too. If you're verified, people are like, oh, she's legit, I'm going to follow.
Yeah. I'm a ways off of verification, but I feel like within a year, I'm going to get that point. I really think the show's like, people in Eau Claire, I keep telling my friends, like, dude, the show's about to pop off. And they're like, dude, you already popped off. It's doing really well. I'm like, no, you have no idea.
You're going to get
it's
like
going to be so much bigger.
Pop-off.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, it's not going to be long. And everyone I interview, you're going to know.
Yeah, that's
like it's
crazy.
going to be, it's almost to that point, I think. So
it's definitely going to get there.
I think so. So at what point during all of this did it click that like, okay, this is my career now?
When I started making money, I think my first brand deal, I remember I like signed the contract and I just cried. I was like, there's no way, like I'm making grown man money right now.
What was that deal with? Who was it?
I can't really talk too much because of like
sure.
NDA purposes. So I have to be super careful. But it's a brand that a lot of people know, and I signed with them and I started making money, and I'm very good at saving. Like I hate spending. I'm very cheap.
Sure.
So
That's
like,
the
I'm gonna
Midwest
save.
folk, right?
Yeah, honestly, I'm gonna save and then get to LA, and then surely enough, I did. It's always been my dream to move here, probably since I was like 8 years old.
What made you want to move to here specifically?
Seeing all the professional dancers out here. I used to see everybody like at Millennium and stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to be out there to dance. And the crazy thing is now that I'm here, I don't even necessarily have like the huge passion for dance anymore. It's mostly social media.
Yeah. Well, I mean, things changed. For one, like me growing up, I'd watch skateboarding all the time, right? Because like I started skating when I was 9. I own a store around that. I've been doing it 22 years. So growing up, the whole industry's out here. So like I always wanted to go to California, and weirdly, I never went. Like my first time in California, I think was 2 years ago.
Oh,
I was
really?
like 29 when I finally was like, oh, this is cool. But like I'm so established where I'm at. Like I'm not moving. I like that you have a really nice place here, but I don't have 11 million TikTok followers. I can't have a place like this here where I live. I have a 4-bedroom house and it's pretty nice off of skate shop money. Like it's possible to do that where I live. It's not possible to do that here.
It's ridiculously expensive here.
It's stupid
Absurd.
expensive out here. But so a couple things. When you're talking about like posting every day, that works because of what you do, right? Because you're on TikTok. TikTok isn't meant, well, some people do take like really professional videos, but the type of thing that you're doing, it's more relatable when it isn't like incredibly edited, right?
100%. I've noticed the videos I put the most effort into do the worst. The videos where I'm just like screwing around with my friends or just like having fun, they pop off and I'm like, wow, really?
Yeah, that's the funny thing is I'll come out here and I'll interview somebody who has like a pretty big following, and I'll take photos with them and all that, and it's a whole thing. Money went into doing this, and I'll post about that episode. And it still gets way less than just like a picture of me with my kids.
Yes.
And I'm like, what in the world?
I will literally post like professional pictures on my Instagram and they do decent. And then I'll post a picture of me like in my room in front of my mirror that's not even like cleaned. There's like little like dust spots on it and it pops off. I'm like, wow, are you serious?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think it's that whole like relatability factor. So you can't talk about that first brand deal, but can you talk about the first like music video type thing you were involved in?
Yeah. So I've only ever done like one music video, and it was the Big Sean one, because a little bit of tea within the dance community out here, and I think it's part of the reason why I'm losing my passion for it, is the industry doesn't pay professionals. The Big Sean music video I didn't get $1 for. It was for quote unquote exposure. And at the time I didn't have any following at all. So like exposure was very important. But now after moving here, I'm not going to go into detail about like names or anything, but all the music videos that I've been offered for like really, really big name artists that we all know, they're like, it's a 3-day shoot, 12 hours each day, and you're getting $150 for it. And I'm like, that's not even minimum wage. And they're like, yeah, but it's exposure. And I'm like, I have exposure. I need to get paid because I'm a professional and this is my job. So I'm kind of staying away from a lot of like the dance world works because they just are kind of taking advantage. And I think that can go for like actors and stuff too. Like people aren't getting paid what they're supposed to for commercials and stuff anymore either, because there's always that person that needs exposure that will do it for free.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Yes, I do agree. I would say there's a lot of ways to get paid, right? So like one of the ways to get paid is physical money. One of the ways to get paid is exposure. The idea really is figuring out what is a mutually beneficial situation for both parties where you're both happy.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the problem is when it comes to exposure is the people that are doing it for free are already professionals that already have degrees and stuff.
Right. And then they should be saying no. Right.
That's the problem. No one's saying no.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying about it being mutually beneficial,
Yes.
right? Because somebody like, here's an example, right? So like for you, right? You certainly are not paying me to interview you,
Yep.
right? But you're allowing me to do this, which is really dope. You have like a much bigger reach and honestly doing something that I don't know anybody else personally doing. So it's like kind of a really cool interview for me to be able to do. On the flip side of that, I'll have somebody in Eau Claire that just started doing whatever their project is. Awesome. Want to be supportive. That's really great. But the show cost me a lot of money to make, and I've established it to a certain degree where I cannot interview anyone who just started their thing 2 months ago who has 100 followers. I can't do that for free all day long.
Because it doesn't benefit you at all.
There's nothing, I gain nothing at all from it. Therefore, I'm not trying to be rude when I tell somebody like, it's not, doesn't really work.
Yep.
You know, I usually try to like, I do my best to be very clear when I send a message back and say, hey, here's the deal. For something to work, when I'm putting this much of my time, energy, and money into it, it has to be mutually beneficial.
Yep, totally understandable.
Which means either this needs to have funding, you know, through you or through somebody else, or some other opportunity needs to come from it, or we need to have some kind of like product giveaway, some kind of way that this benefits the show as well. Because unfortunately, now that I've grown a little bit, it doesn't benefit the show.
Yep.
But I'm not big enough that I'm going to say no to Big Sean. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's all about kind of playing that game and understanding like whether or not this works for me. And I think if you get to the point where you're at and you have a management team you can work with, that helps quite a bit because then you don't have to have those conversations with people.
Yeah, they can do the dirty work.
Yeah, exactly. If you could collaborate with any artist, past or present, who would it be and why? And what would the project look like?
Oh my gosh, I want to twerk with Meg the Stallion so badly.
That would be incredible.
She's such a queen. I started twerking because of her, and she's just inspired me to be a hot girl, but an educated girl. I love her.
Real hot girls.
Period.
Maybe when you drop your first music video for your stuff, maybe you can hit up Megan on TikTok and she'll hit you back.
I hope so. Oh my gosh.
I always wonder, how do people, I suppose if you see, because if you're verified, when you send a DM to somebody, it still just goes to their request, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, the problem is I'm not actually verified on Instagram yet.
I don't understand how this works. So I was looking, there's a newscaster in Eau Claire. I don't remember who her name is, but my news station's it's tiny, and she's verified.
So
How
it's
does that
honestly
work?
who you know, and I just haven't found that connection yet because there's people that have like literally 2,000 followers that are verified, and I'm over here with almost 1 million and I'm not. So you either need a connection, and then it's based off of your press, which I'm still confused on because I have like 30 to 40 articles. Like I have Hollywood Times and Washington Post and some big news sources, but I'm still not verified. So I think I just don't have the right connection yet.
Yeah, I'm going to start throwing that feeler out to people because I know that I'm not huge, but I think if I had that, it would help me get a lot of guests.
Yes,
So,
and that's the thing, touching on what you were actually like asking, when you're verified, you're still in request, but you automatically go to the top of their requests.
Oh.
And you stay at the top.
Sure. Because I was wondering like how people get a hold of like other major celebrities.
Yeah, it's just off of that.
there's
Or
way too
you
many
have
messages.
like your management and they'll like reach out.
I suppose. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Well, if you ever figure out the verified thing, hit me up with the DM.
I will help you.
And let me know who I got to talk to so I can figure it out because I want to know that. And again, like the show's at like 17K or something, but I think I'll be at 100K
They make
within
it
a
so
year or
hard
two.
to figure
it's
it
gonna
out.
My show's gonna get huge, and then it's gonna get verified, and then pretty soon I'm gonna be on TV interviewing all these cool people, and it's gonna be dope.
That's the thing too. A lot of people can like pay for verification, but I refuse to do that because one, I don't know how real it is, but two, like I know I'll get it organically, and I don't want handouts. Like I want to get it.
Yeah, I don't think the paid thing really helps, right? Because like all it does is make your interaction rates low.
No, like they can pay for verification.
Yeah, but
I just don't see the point in that.
Right, yeah, because it should just come at some point anyways if you have enough of a
organically.
Following.
But people will like offer, like this guy was like, I can get you verified, it's $15,000, and the reason it's that much is because I'm going to get you the news articles you need. And I'm like, but the news articles will come as I get bigger.
Right.
So I'd rather not like blow that much money. Like that's rent.
yeah. Well, and I always wonder like how legit anybody of those types of people are.
Yeah, it's scary. You don't know.
What I mean? Like,
you don't know.
Because like as an example, I wanted to buy the Instagram handle Passion. Like I was trying to just buy that because the person who had it wasn't doing anything with it.
Yeah, it's like a ghost account.
Right. I was like, I want that account. So I'd been DMing this person for months, whoever had that account. I'm like, dude, let me buy this because I actually use this as branding, please. And they finally got a hold of the dude, and this is just through DM. So like, how can you hold anyone accountable anyways?
Yeah.
And the guy's like, $1,500. And I was like, yes, I'll pay you $1,500 for that Instagram account. And then he just didn't respond to me. And a week later, I got a message from that account saying, hey, this is somebody else actually purchased this account, but I will still sell it to you, except I want $4,500. And I was like, dude, honestly, fuck you. I was like, I'm not playing this game. Like,
I don't think he sold it. I think he's just trying to see how much money
I
he
think
can
so,
get out
but
of you.
you know what's funny though is a week later the account got taken down,
Oh, wow.
and it's just been gone since because you're not allowed to sell an Instagram handle. Like that's against the rules and regulations. So I'm guessing this dude probably sent that DM to a lot of different people. People probably reported that message and it got taken down.
That's crazy.
I know. But since then, I'm like, nobody has that handle. I want it.
Oh my gosh. Imagine
Like,
if you would have bought it.
I know.
It would have been taken down.
I know. I'm like, but I do want that
You
handle.
should reach out to Instagram.
I don't know how to really. You can send like a request.
I think you should like email them. I don't even know the emails.
Well,
we'll figure it out.
Okay, because I really want that handle. Although my brother-in-law told me, he's like, if you change your handle to Passion, everyone would just assume it's like an adult video thing. And I'm like, I guess, but no, I still think it would be dope. So as far as the trajectory of your career, so my trajectory is I opened my shop when I was 23. I hit the 5-year mark and I'm like, okay, my shop is what I want it to be. And I kind of want it to stay this cool clubhouse forever. I don't really want to do much more. So that's when I discovered the show. And now my show is growing, which means my brand is going to grow. I want to do more with art. And I'm kind of like moving in that direction a bit. Within the trajectory of what you want to do, kind of where are you at?
Honestly, I feel like every day it's changing. I never would have expected that I would be sitting here right now in my apartment in Hollywood doing a whole podcast with you. So I feel like every day my answer is going to change. And I have no idea like where I'm going to end up. I have so many different goals and like for so many different things. Like I feel like for the longest I wanted to go on tour like as a dancer, like backup dancing for someone, but now I'm making music. So I want to be like the main person that has people dancing for me. So I feel like with music, I just want to like use that and start learning how to market that and kind of like pop off with my music. I want to start my own brand, like with like clothes and stuff. I want to get bigger on YouTube. And I feel like I always say that, but I don't take YouTube serious because you have to put so much work into YouTube. And I'm so busy with Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Reels, all that stuff. So I don't have time to focus on YouTube, but I really want to like get into that because I think down the road, my dream is to have like a family YouTube channel. I want to be like the little Brant fam. I want to have like my husband and my cute kids and like wear matching clothes and make content with them. Because I feel like everyone asks me, you're young now and like you twerk and stuff, but what are you going to do 10 years from now? And I'm like, I still want to be a content creator, but I feel like I'm going to pop off like when I'm pregnant and like doing dance videos with a baby. I want to do like content with my family. I want to do content traveling. That's another big dream I have. I want to be like a travel vlogger. I love traveling and I want to like be able to get paid to travel and like show stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you build, that's like the cool part about social media is you build your own like TV network.
Yes.
Like that's kind of what it is, right? And depending on how many people watch it, that shows how valuable this network itself is. You can take that whatever way you want it to. You can have multiple channels within that network. There's like, you have nothing stopping you from what you can do with it.
Exactly. And like once you have the platform, you have like a specific niche, but as you grow, your channel is going to change. Like everyone's like, you twerk. And I'm like, no, I do so much stuff, but that's what I enjoy doing at this moment. So I'm going to keep doing it until I get sick of it. Then I'm going to change it. There's so many things you can do. And everything you choose to do, there's always going to be an audience that likes that. So the more stuff you do, the more people you're going to attract.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, things are meant to kind of grow and change a little bit over time, kind of regardless. You know what I mean? So it'll go in the way that it wants to. And the other thing that's cool too is you're slowly building up like your own worth. Like that's the cool part about like your own social media, right? Is that's like your own tool that no matter where you want to go, you still have that following and you still have all 100%. Of that behind you. That's just yours. That's nobody else's. Unless like a social media platform like disappears or something, which is its own thing. Yeah. So what's on the immediate horizon for you? As people are, hopefully, I would assume some of the people who follow the show are all of a sudden going to hop on your channel. Maybe you won't notice awesome because you'll have all these other people anyways. But what can they expect to see from you moving forward?
Well, I just spent the last month working on an album. So I'm about to release a whole album probably in like October or November. I want to drop it literally tomorrow, but I'm trying to be patient because I'm very impatient and I know that like things take time. So you guys can definitely expect some music from me. And then right now I'm really focused on networking and doing more collaborations with people. I just moved to Hollywood. I'm like 10 minutes away from like the walk. So I can be out there every day finally, which I never had that resource prior to this. So I really want to like actually get out and meet people. Cause I feel like I'm very like, I used to be very extroverted, but after moving here and like being on social media, I'm always around people. So I think I'm turning slightly introverted and that scares me because I need to be out there while I'm young. So I'm going to try to like keep opening up and like being around people.
Yeah, just don't burn yourself out too much. Like that's the biggest problem with me is like I overcommit. And as things keep going well, more and more opportunities pop up.
Yeah, and you can't say no because you feel ridiculous.
Right. Well, and all the opportunities are fun. Like there's all this cool people always ask me, they're like, oh, you have all this stuff 100%. Going on. And I'm like, yeah, my problem is I have too many cool things that I want to work on
and
right
it's
now.
such a blessing. It's such a blessing. So I don't want to like come off ungrateful, but like it's also so hard to say no. Like 2 years ago, I was working at Target. And now it's like I feel ridiculous turning down getting paid to make a TikTok. But it also like it really does start burning you out, especially like your social battery. Like I'm around people 24/7. I think that's why I'm becoming introverted because I don't let myself like chill out. Like I was saying earlier, like making content, I don't really need breaks from. But what I do need breaks from is like being around people 24/7. Like I've become like such an anxious person. So it's hard for me to just like always be out in the middle of everything.
Well, and you know that you could be making money doing stuff you enjoy. Yeah. So it's hard to say like, I'm going to just not do stuff today.
Yeah. And it's like, it's also so important. Like I love people and I love meeting people, but I've met so many people. And it's also scary out here because not everybody's like out there with your best interest at heart.
That is a different, like, we're Midwest nice, right? So where we come from, people don't really have ulterior motives very often.
Yeah, not really, because like you all do the same thing. Everybody like works kind of like the same 9 to 5.
No one's really into like, no one's competing with each other for anything either. So coming out here, the beautiful thing about what I do is I'm not in competition with anyone literally at all, because all I'm doing is promoting people, right? Yeah. Like I'm telling their stories in a positive way. All it does is help somebody. Maybe my following isn't big enough and doesn't give enough reach for somebody to think it's worth like the promotion. But ultimately, I'm not taking away from anyone at all. Therefore, when I come out here, I never have to worry about it. Yeah. You know, nobody has any other motive because their motive is they want me to promote them. And I'm like, perfect, because that's what I'm here for. You know, but in a lot of other spaces here, because of the whole atmosphere, it's incredibly expensive. It's just really, really hard to like find people that just genuinely like you. You know, I think there's a lot of that. It's not like that people aren't genuine, but it's
people just want to take advantage. Like I'm actually very lucky. I have found a really, really amazing group of friends out here, and I think that's why I have such a problem like going out and trying to like meet new people, because I feel fortunate enough to already have that group, and I know the more people I meet, the more like fake energy I'm gonna be around. So it's kind of hard trying to like navigate and figure out who to really be around, because that's another thing too, like being out here, like being back in Michigan, people are like, oh, what's your name? How old are you? Here, the first question I get asked is, oh, what do you do? How many followers do you have? And I'm like, bro, it doesn't really matter. Like,
yeah. If you're not looking to work together anyways, it really should be irrelevant.
Yeah, honestly, like I just want to meet people. I don't really want people to like look at me different because of my social status.
Sure. But it is kind of tough too, because like you want to get out there and you want to meet new people, but as you get busier and busier, it's already hard to give the amount of time you want to your close friends. Like I find that is an issue where like friends that I would love to hang out with twice a week, I'm hanging out with once every few weeks because I'm traveling and I'm working on this, that, or whatever.
And then I feel bad because I don't want people to think I'm flaky or like forgetting about them. And that's where I'm lucky, because like all my close friends are back in Michigan. So then when I do go home, it's literally just about them. Yeah. But then like here, like I have met some really good friends. And like, for example, I just got back into LA yesterday. I was back home for a month, like I was saying earlier. And now I'm here and everyone's like, come hang out. And I'm like, I literally can't. I have work to take care of. I have collabs I have to do. And like I have friends that I need to see. So it's like hard trying to, you know, juggle all that.
Yeah, that's just, over committing. So I asked you to think about this earlier, but this is my favorite part of the show. It's why I call this show an inspirational storytelling experience. So can you share a unique experience, something you're really grateful for, like a specific one that only happened because you chose to pursue your passion for music and dance?
Yes. So it's actually mostly about social media. I was talking earlier about how like my grandpa is my biggest inspiration. He's like my hero. So I started social media and I started getting like pretty big on it. And one day we were just like chilling in a cafeteria for my sister's bowling banquet. And before it started, I was like, Papa, I really want to make a video with you. And he's like, oh yeah, Mikaila, let's go make our video. And he like does this little like grandpa hobble over, and he has like this cute little dance. I call it the grandpa wobble. And we did this little TikTok together, and I didn't think anything of it. And at the time, I think I was at like 20,000 followers. It was like really early on. And this video popped off, like millions of views. And it was just so special to me because I got to make this video with my grandpa, like my favorite man in the world. And then he was just so happy. He's like, oh my gosh, I'm helping you with your career.
Isn't it funny too that I'm sure he didn't have a perspective or understanding
No.
of like what that even meant?
He's always like, oh, tell all the followers I said hi.
Yeah, you're like, it doesn't work that way, Grandpa.
And then my favorite part about him is like, I'll read him the comments and it's always, oh, protect him at all costs. Your grandpa's the cutest. He's such a cutie. And like in front of my grandma, he's like, oh, you better watch out. The ladies are coming for me.
That's awesome. So making mistakes is the easiest way that we end up learning, and we get these new skill sets. We learn what not to do. If you never make mistakes, you usually don't grow nearly as fast. So I like to ask people who have been doing cool for a living, things that they enjoy, to share a story of a mistake they made. Again, like a specific story, something that taught you something that someone listening might be able to benefit from.
So I actually have two, maybe three that I really want to touch on. So the first one I'm going to touch on is oversharing. I am a talker, and anytime I have anything exciting coming on, I always just like want to tell all the people that I'm close with. But sometimes like the people you think you're close with aren't necessarily there for like your best interests. Like sometimes like your own friends are competing with you and they don't want to see you do well. And then things that you don't want to like get out yet, they're always like gonna go off, and then that's how like drama starts. Like I just have learned that sometimes you need to keep things to yourself. Only talk to like your family or like the people you trust the most, and don't necessarily trust like people you just met with personal information. The next thing that's super important is if you're in like a career that specifically requires contracts and stuff, read them. And not only you read them, make your family read them. And if affordable, try to get a lawyer. And that's where I kind of screwed up. I can't go into too much details about this specific contract because NDA purposes, but lawyers are expensive and I couldn't afford one. And I signed a contract and I'm stuck on it for 2 years now. And like, I'm not going to be able to get paid the following year because of the certain like circumstances. And I'm not allowed to work with a bunch of brands because of this contract. So I'm kind of in a pickle because I just didn't understand one of like the little things in the terms. So it's so important to not only read your contracts, but understand every single word of your contract. And if you don't, like ask people, because like they will keep you in there.
Yeah. Well, the second that all of a sudden business isn't helping both people, you know, both parties, when it's not mutually beneficial, then people fall back on things like agreements and things like that, where it's like, well, okay, the reason you signed a contract isn't because they had your best interest in heart. It's because they wanted theirs.
They want it. Yeah.
Right. Their interest was what was at the top of the priority.
And sometimes like you do need contracts because it's important as a creator to always have a contract with companies just to like make sure you're guaranteed payment. Because sometimes they'll be like, oh, we'll pay you this amount of money, and then you do it and then they just won't pay you. So contracts are very important. But I think the main thing is like non-exclusivity. Like make sure that if you want to get out of the contract, you can terminate it. That's where I messed up on this one because I can't terminate it. And even if I terminate the contract, I'm still stuck for a year where I can't work with other companies and like I won't get paid out from this specific company.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's like, make sure you read your contracts. And I got lucky because it's only a year. Some people like with record labels, for example, like they will sign their whole lives away.
Yeah.
Like I know
they're so
artists
fast to like jump on it because they see the potential success.
And they're like, oh my gosh, this is gonna like change my life. But the problem is like I've heard stories about artists that are worth millions and they only have like $17,000 to their name.
Yeah.
And it's like, ooh, you make like you're a multimillionaire, but you don't even have like six figures.
Yeah.
Like that sucks to work that hard.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Have that happen. And then the last thing, it's not necessarily a mistake. It's just what I like stand for. Love yourself and be confident in yourself. Take risks and do what you want to do deep down. Don't listen to what anybody else has to say to you. Don't worry about what haters might have to say. If people aren't supporting your dreams and stuff, who cares? Like go out and do it. If I would have listened to what all my haters and like other people were saying, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. Yep. Like go out and do what you want to do and work hard.
Well, I'll say this, that I've gotten a lot of advice that in my gut, I'm like, this isn't right. Even though this person has a track record that I think makes sense that they would know, when I've followed that advice, it's never right.
No.
It should, what I thought was going to be right was the right
Ends
path.
up being right. Like everybody has like a gut feeling
Right.
about everything, and you need to follow it. Like, I'm really big on like your intuition and like manifesting and stuff. And that stuff is never wrong. Like, speak positivity and speak good things into existence and it will come. Like, I don't sit here and say like, oh, maybe this will do well, maybe it won't. I'm like, this will do great. And on this date, I'm going to be doing this. And it almost always happens. So follow your gut and just like know that you can do whatever you want to do. Nothing is like far-fetched.
Absolutely. I'm a firm believer of, like, my parents told me as a kid, I could do anything. And it sounds like a lot when I tell somebody that I genuinely believe I could be anything that I want in the world. They're like, oh, damn, really? And I'm like, no, really. I do
could.
actually think I could if that's, anything that I individually want to do
Yeah.
within reason. Like, I'm not going to be a track superstar, but
All it
you know,
takes
for
is
the most
hard
part.
work. You honestly
Yeah.
could. If you started training every day, I'm sure you could.
I could do some long distance running. I do want to get into that. So now we're at the end of the show. I always like to ask people again, how can people best support you? Which I know it's Mikaila Dancer, but spell it out because Mikaila isn't spelled the normal way I usually see it.
Yeah, my parents got unique. I had to get a custom Coke bottle made for me.
Yeah, exactly. So shout that out again. And then how can people best support you moving forward?
So all my social media handles are Mikaila Dancer. It's spelled MIKAILADANCER. And I guess the best way you can really support me is just like be positive. If you see something that I post and you like it, like throw me a like and maybe comment, because I try to be interactive with my followers too. So if I see stuff, like I always try to like comment back and everything. So just be like a positive person, and also like not even just supporting me, like just be a nice person to everybody, because by doing that, like I just feel like that's an impact that I'm able to like put out there into the world.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of The Passion Pod. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We'll see you soon.